Most people buy a MacBook Air because it's portable, not because it's powerful. But with the M4, Apple isn't just upgrading. It might have accidentally killed the MacBook Pro for a lot of people. You see, with the new M4 chip, the MacBook Air didn't just level up. It's blurring the line between everyday laptop and professional powerhouse. This is the laptop I'm going to be recommending to just about everyone. So let's talk about it, starting with the unboxing. Opening up the box, you get the MacBook Air itself right on top. This one's the 13-inch version in Apple's new sky blue finish, wrapped neatly in this protective paper. You also get the compact 35-watt charging brick that cleverly packs 2 USB-C ports, which is great for charging 2 devices at once. And there's this nice touch right here, a braided MagSafe charging cable that matches the laptop's sky blue color perfectly. Now these days, the packaging is minimal, no surprise there, but the matching sky blue MagSafe cable is a nice touch. But trust me, the real surprises are inside the MacBook Air itself. Oh, and quick heads up, my review of the beastly new M3 Ultra Max Studio is dropping very soon, so definitely subscribe so you don't miss that. All right, let's talk about what makes this MacBook Air tick, the M4 chip. Apple Silicon has been impressive since M1, but with M4, the company is obviously flexing some serious muscle. In everyday use, this laptop feels like a dream. Apps open instantly, multitasking is buttery smooth, and even heavier tasks like exporting 4K videos or running Xcode builds are faster than you typically expect on an Air. If you're wondering how much faster, Apple says the M4 Air is up to 2 times faster than the M1 model and up to an insane 23 times faster than the fastest Intel-based MacBook Air from about 5 years ago. So realistically, that means if you're coming from a 2020 Intel MacBook Air or even the first M1 Air, you're gonna notice a night and day difference. Now for context, compared to the M3 Air from last generation, the M4's gains are there, but they're way more incremental. It's an upgrade you'll appreciate in heavier workflows, but maybe not something you'd immediately feel just browsing the web. So if you've got an M3 or even an M2 and you're feeling like you need to upgrade, skip the M4 MacBook Air and get an M4 Pro based MacBook Pro instead. Now the key here is efficiency. All this speed comes without sacrificing battery life or turning the Air into a hot, loud mess. It still has no fan, so you get completely silent operation and still gets around 18 hours of battery on a charge, so you can power through a workday, editing videos using AI and retouching photos, all unplugged without hunting for an outlet. So the bottom line on performance. The MacBook Air used to be seen as a student email machine, but not anymore. Apple Silicon has turned it into a legitimate portable workhorse. Unless you're routinely pushing ultra high-end tasks like professional 3D rendering or massive software builds, the MacBook Air M4 can likely handle your workload with ease, all while staying thin, quiet, and cool. Next, one of the most welcome quality of life upgrades here is the new webcam. The MacBook Air finally gets a 12 megapixel camera with center stage, and it's actually good. In video calls, you'll appear sharper and more evenly lit than on the old 720p or even 1080p webcams. The magic here is center stage. The camera uses machine learning to keep you centered in the frame as you move around. If you tend to gesture or get up during meetings, the Air will pan and zoom subtly to follow you, almost like having a cameraman framing your shot, which makes calls feel more dynamic and engaging. And there's also the desk view feature. This was introduced a few years ago, but it's still pretty wild. The camera can simultaneously show your face and an overhead view of your desk. So if you're presenting something physical like sketching a note or showing a gadget, for example, during a Zoom or FaceTime call, desk view gives the person a top-down look as if you had a second camera pointing downwards at your table. It's a neat trick for remote teachers, creatives, or just anyone who ever tried to hold something up awkwardly to their webcam. Now overall, the combo of 12 megapixel sensor and center stage means the Air is now on par with iPads in terms of webcam smarts. Your video calls are going to be clearer and easier to manage since you can move around a bit without leaving the frame. This is one of those small improvements that makes a big difference now that so many of us live on video calls. All right, next, this is a big one for power users. The MacBook Air M4 supports dual external displays while also using the laptop's own display at the same time. Yes, Apple finally unlocked true multi-monitor for the Air. So in plain English, you can connect 2 monitors to the laptop and run all 3 screens at once, something no MacBook Air has been able to do until now. The previous M1 and M2 were able to do 1 external display, and the M3 Air could do 2 external displays as long as the lid of the Air itself was closed. That's called clamshell mode. But here on the M4, those restrictions are a thing of the past. fast. So as you can see here, I was able to connect 2 Apple Studio displays to the M4 MacBook Air, and the result is 3 usable screens. This meant I could have my editing timeline on one, a preview on another, and notes and messaging on the laptop screen all at the same time. It's a huge productivity boost that previously required you to buy the MacBook Pro. If you're a student or professional who likes to have multiple windows open, documents, spreadsheets, research, a Zoom meeting on one side, the dual monitor support will be a big deal for your workflow. All right, let's step away from specs for a moment and talk colors. Even though it has no bearing on using the device, people love talking colors. Apple introduced this new sky blue finish, and honestly, it's subtle and maybe a bit too subtle. You see, under the right lighting, like outdoors or studio lights, the icy blue gradient effect here looks fantastic. But indoors or under typical lighting, it kind of just looks like a silver MacBook Air. Personally, I would have loved something more vibrant, closer to the saturated blues you see on something like Microsoft's Surface laptops and tablets. Sky blue isn't bad, but it almost feels like you need to have another MacBook Air nearby to constantly compare it against to see that yes, it is actually blue. But how does sky blue compare to Apple's other colors? Well, Starlight is the more subdued option, a sort of warm champagne or pale gold. Starlight can sometimes just look like silver with a tiny dash of gold, whereas sky blue clearly has that cool tint to it. And Midnight, on the other hand, is the obvious dark, almost black blue that Apple introduced with the M2. Sleek, stealthy, and starting with the M3 model last year, has a fingerprint-resistant matte anodized finish. The other colors don't have that same finish since they're lighter, which means fingerprints aren't nearly as visible. But back to sky blue. As I said, I do wish Apple had dialed up the saturation just a bit more, but it's the same request I have about the iPad Air and iPhone Pro colors. So maybe that's just me, and this is blue, by the way. Let me know in the comments if I'm the only one seeking brighter colors. Still, it's great to finally see Apple giving us more personality alongside performance. Oh, and if you're deciding between the 13-inch and 15-inch models, aside from the obvious difference in screen size, the larger version also sports a 6-speaker sound system with force-canceling woofers compared to the 4-speaker array with no woofers on the smaller MacBook Air. Aside from that, it's really just about display and weight. All right, after using the new MacBook Air M4, it's clear Apple has made their most popular laptop even better without compromising its identity. It's still incredibly thin, fanless and silent, and lasts all day on battery. But now it's a lot more powerful, a lot more versatile with dual displays, and a bit more fun thanks to that sky blue flare and the improved webcam. This is an iterative upgrade done right. Nothing radical. All the updates here are meaningful in day-to-day use. For most people, the MacBook Air M4 hits the sweet spot. It handles work, school, and creative tasks like a champ, and it looks good doing it. Unless you truly need the extra horsepower of a MacBook Pro for things like high-end workflows and specialized pro software, I'd say save your money and go with the Air. It is that good. If you want to see what Apple's been up to with the iPad line, tap to watch my new M3 iPad Air review now. And don't forget, my M3 Ultra Max Studio review is coming up very soon. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support. I'm Andru Edwards, and I will catch you in the next video.